These are our steps for the EPL, the Efficient Perceptual Learning Process. It's a little bit different than what most people are used to, which is very technique, which we go into with the CLM manuals. But let's look at how we can use these in order to get better. One of the biggest questions that I always get is, you know, Matt, how do I actually apply this? Matt, what am I actually doing with it? Which is why we're doing these CLM videos, so that you can hear me explain it and talk about it, compare it to the notes that you're getting in the actual manual, and then you can actually see me physically doing stuff with a student in order to work through it. Attention weighting is where we're putting our attention on something. We're developing schema. We're working on one particular thing and experiencing it. We're constantly trying to find that one thing that we work with, and that's the goal of whatever lesson we may have. So you work with that attention weighting in order to get somebody to learn properly what they're doing. Whatever move it is, whatever punch it is, whatever method or technique, whatever it is, you attention weight. And you attention weight from whatever movement it may be, down to the movement of the hand, down to the movement of the shoulder, whatever. So we're working through that attention weighting, developing those experiences till we get to the imprinting stage, where we start to work with others and apply it. And that imprints on us what works and what doesn't out of the attention weighting phase. So instead of just saying, you have to do this 500 times, you have to do this movement, you have to do this movement, it's the only thing that you can do. Instead, what we're doing is we're teaching the movement, we're teaching the theory, and we've got the application. Now we're going to move into that imprinting phase where they start to do it against other people, and they figure out what works and what doesn't, and they create that imprint of how they're going to work with it. Then you get to the differentiation phase. Now differentiation is differentiating, what doesn't work, what does, out of that experience, altering things and moving them around. The other thing that it does is in the differentiation phase, they begin to differentiate between different types of movements that, the inefficiencies and the efficiencies of themselves and the opponent. So they're differentiating between what could hurt me, what won't hurt me, what's working, what isn't working. Then you get to the unitization phase, where you put all these together and you create one picture of how they're going to do everything. You've got a student that has been through the attention weighting, they've had it imprinted on them, they can differentiate between what works, what doesn't, what might hurt them, what might not hurt them, gain that experience. And it's an experience-based learning system into the unitization. So what we want to do is we want to move in this direction. That's the good direction, moving in that direction. Because it's a full spectrum way of learning. Now there are basics that you're always going to have. You're going to have that one particular strike. You're going to have that one particular knee or that one particular kick, whatever it may be. So that's fine. You're going to have that. But you move in this direction so you can get a good understanding of where the student is. They develop schema. They have a lot of experiences with what they're doing. They're differentiating between what works and what doesn't for themselves, physically, mentally, experientially, until they can create a unitized vision. The problem is that a lot of people do this. They start here and then they're just beating the student up to get back to here. So the student isn't really being taught how to differentiate. The student's just being beaten and they're expected to find it because they started at this point, which was the entire fight or the entire mechanics of whatever technique it was or method that they're learning. So they start here and they move back, and then they get to the imprinting phase, then they get to the attention weighting phase where the teacher finally says, you're not getting this, so we're going to work on this one thing. Instead of doing that, we're going to teach it properly. We're going to teach technique properly, like we talk about in some of the blog posts and in the CLM3. How do you teach technique properly? It's by attention weighting on the movement and the movement mechanics and going through this process. You don't want to go this way. So if you're teaching a student that's new, or you're working with some new students that have come into your classroom, or you are a student that's going into a classroom, learn out of the CLM1 to break these things down. Break them down, chunk it down, process the chunks, and move further with it. Instead of constantly starting here and moving your way back, you'll pick more up, you'll learn more about your students and what they're capable of, and in the end, you're going to be much more successful in the way that you teach.